in that sense, how should we,
Yeah.
think about
So I actually think this is not a big deal, to be quite honest, because I think it's a much bigger issue if you raise, let's call it a $3 million seed round, and then you realize that you're not wanting to go and raise follow-on funding. If you do something like YC, you know, they invest in so many companies, right? And they invest at such a high ownership percentage relative to the amount of money that they invest. And they do that because they understand that a lot of these companies are not going to become, huge successes. And that's totally fine. Like that's why they have the accelerator model. And I think this is a great thing. You know, I think I read something from PG recently where he said, "Look, we've baked it into our model that some people are going to go back to school after doing YC, and they're not going to end up starting their company, right? Or they're not going to end up building a company that goes the distance." So, he and YC have built this in, so they're not expecting every company to be a success. But if you're a VC and you're only investing as a lead investor in a couple of companies per year, well, then you're really hoping and expecting that those companies are going to try and go the distance versus investing in hundreds of companies per cohort like YC does. So I think out of anybody, YC is probably the most likely, at least from from like a VC standpoint, is they still are a VC. They have this fund model, but they're still a VC. They're the most likely to be supportive of somebody who only raises the $500 from YC or 500K from YC, and then ultimately build something that is revenue generating, is a profitable business, but doesn't necessarily go on to raise more funding because they don't have all of their chips or 30% of their chips on that one startup. Compared to like or relative to like these VC funds that are much more concentrated with their investments. So I don't think it's as bad for an accelerator. I don't think you're going to get quite as much pressure from an accelerator to take the VC route after the fact if you realize that things have changed than you would from a lead investor. And I do think that lead investors would encourage you to go and raise more money